everybody, JC here from Toy News International and MarvelousNews.com. And for today's video, I'm going to be sharing my insight and thoughts on the new Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 movie. It opens in theaters here in the United States this coming Friday/Thursday evening. I believe the movie may have opened in some places overseas, so some of you watching may have already seen the movie, but since most of you probably have not, I am going to keep this review spoiler-free. If you're interested in hearing a spoiler review, let me know in the comments section below, and if there's enough demand, I'll try and get a spoiler review done in a couple days. But for this one, I will keep it spoiler-free. I got a chance to see the movie last night for a press screening, which is why I've seen it already. So the movie is written and directed by James Gunn. He's the one who worked on the first movie, and this one shares a lot of the same characteristics as the first movie, a lot of comedic moments, which is what Guardians is known for. The only other movie in the Marvel Universe that's kind of known for that is Ant-Man, but I think Guardians even more so, especially with this second film. And in fact, at times, I think they maybe go a little bit overboard, which I'll go into more detail in a moment. But the basic premise of this movie, there's actually two storylines kind of going on in this one. One is that Star-Lord discovers who his father is. Now, I'm not going to reveal who that is, even though most of you probably already know, even if you haven't seen the film. It's one of the internet's worst kept secrets. But just in case, I'm not going to tell you who it is. I will say it is a revelation of cosmic proportions, and it is something that is revealed basically in the very opening scene. So if you don't know who he is, you will learn very quickly once the movie opens. Now after that, we get a scene where the Guardians are fighting this big giant space monster, which you see in a lot of the trailer clips. And during that, while the Guardians are fighting the space creature, Groot is dancing, grooving to some tunes that are playing in the background, Star-Lord's tunes that are playing. And that kind of sets the tone for the entire movie, that kind of interaction with comedy and action. And again, at times I do think they kind of go over the top. Now that being said, there are definitely scenes in this movie that will have you rolling. Just to name a few, there's one scene where Star-Lord is given a Zune to replace his Walkman and is told this is the most advanced technology that humans use to store and listen to their music. Now if you actually remember what a Zune is, you'll find that scene to be pretty funny. There's also a lot of 80s character references. There's a certain yellow pixelated chomping character that makes an appearance, and then the Hoff himself makes an appearance. So even though, like I said, at times I thought the comedy was a little over the top, they definitely had scenes that were very funny. But the other story with this one is how these gold people that are known as the Sovereign end up chasing after the Guardians throughout the movie because they're pissed off that somebody stole something that they weren't supposed to. And so these guys are basically trying to hunt down the Guardians. And while these characters will probably have a much larger role to play down the road in the Marvel Universe, in this film I found them to be primarily just a distraction for both the Guardians themselves and for the audience. And you really just kind of feel, end up wishing that they would just kind of go away. But the main storyline with Star-Lord and discovering who his father is, I thought was very well done and very interesting. Again, a lot of cosmic revelations are made in this movie. If you're into the cosmic characters of the Marvel Universe, this movie will have a lot for you to chew on. A lot of Easter eggs in that regard and such throughout the movie, especially with the after credit scenes, and there's a total of 5 of them in this movie, so you want to stay for all of them. 2, I would say, are just straight up comedic relief. One is somewhat comedic relief, but also sheds some light on a character that has essentially appeared in every Marvel movie. And then the remaining 2, I believe, are setting up future movies. One is definitely a setup for a future Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then the other one could be for Guardians, or it might even be for Avengers Infinity War. That is possibly the biggest connection with the overall Marvel franchise that this movie has. And that's one of the things I found kind of disappointing. This movie really didn't do anything to further the overall Marvel Universe storyline. This movie was much more self-contained than I thought it would be. I thought the Guardians and their cosmic adventures would have more of an impact on setting up the Infinity War than it did. So that was something I found a little bit disappointing. But the overall storyline with Star-Lord's father and the character development that we see with that with all the Guardians, not just Star-Lord, I thought was probably the best thing about the movie. My favorite character in this movie was actually Yondu, played by Michael Rooker. I think he kind of stole the show. I liked him in the first movie, but in this one we get a lot more development for him. And again, I think he just kind of stole the show. We also get a lot of character development with Rocket. We learn why he is the way he is and why he acts the way he acts. We got a lot of more in-depth revelations about the relationship between Gamora and Nebula. You know, we learned in the first movie that they're sisters and that their father is Thanos. But in this one, we kind of learn what it was like to grow up in that environment as having Thanos as your father and why Nebula was the way she is. She's much more humanized in this movie. The Nebula character in the first movie, she was basically just the bad guy's stooge. And in this one, she's definitely got a lot more development, which I thought was pretty good. Maybe not quite in keeping with the comics, at least from what I remember, but still pretty interesting overall. Now, Drax was probably the character that got the least character development in this one. We got a little bit of insight with his developing relationship with the Mantis character, which is a new character that appears in this movie. But overall, he was there primarily for just comedic relief. He had most of the one-liners in this movie for the laugh appeal. So in the end, I would say that while I thought this was an enjoyable movie, and if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think you'll definitely want to check this one out. I don't think it was quite as good as the first Guardians of the movie, primarily because I don't think they did quite as good a job of balancing the comedy with the action and the overall plot line. Again, there were just at times where I thought the comedy was a little bit over the top, bordering on corniness, and actually took a little bit away from the actual storyline itself. So overall grade I'm going to give this one is a B-. My wife wanted me to give it a B. She saw it with me and she thought it was deserving of a B. But to me, just the over-the-top comedy at times knocked it down a notch. So I'm giving it a B-. So that's it. I'd definitely be interested to hear your thoughts on the movie once you see it. So, you know, after you see the movie this weekend, please come back and comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought. Also, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel if you don't already. And if you're so inclined, also like this video. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I'll have links to those in the video description. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later.